Sitting here with Arlindo in a beautiful, did I say it right?
Arlindo, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
in a beautiful place in Germany. You've been here for about a week now or so?
Yes, Patrick.
Yes.
I arrived last Sunday, yeah? Last Sunday.
To talk about a very dear subject, Vedanta.
Yeah, my favorite one.
Yeah. It's been quite a path that brought you to talking about this, right? If I read right.
Yeah.
Can you tell me something about where it started? Was it in your youth or in your middle age?
No, it began very early. Yeah. So I used to be a mechanical engineer, and I had a job on a multi-corporation company in Rio de Janeiro. But then very soon I realized that I was in the wrong place, doing the wrong thing, and then I became a disciple of Osho Rajneesh on those days. He used to be called Rajneesh, Bhagwan.
Yeah.
So that's where my spiritual life began. So it was in 1981.
So if you've been to India, did you go to Oregon?
Yes, I used to go to Oregon for the festivals, yeah.
You've seen the series on Netflix, Wild Wild Country?
Yes, very nicely produced.
Yeah? Is there? I hear some different comments on that. Some people tell me it is really how it was. Some people tell me it's totally different than what I experienced.
No, I think it's very accurate.
Yeah. Dear Osho doesn't live anymore. He left us a lot of books and a lot of audio tapes. Do you ever still listen to him or read books about him?
No, my life has been about piling up books and then giving them away and then moving to the next stage.
Yeah.
So I gave away all my books, Osho's books, long before, after he left his body, and I went to Lucknow to spend 3 years around Papaji.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Papaji, was he the one that introduced you to his teachers, or what did he do?
Papaji was very, very important because with Osho, I usually refer to Osho as entry-level spirituality, a lot of psychology, and he had this vision of having impact on millions of people. He was a very ambitious man in that sense of wanting to have an impact in the world. And he offered meditation and therapy and a lot of Shakti, energy. And it was all about becoming a better person, purify and so I stayed around 10 years in that environment. And then he left the body, and I had the opportunity to be introduced to another kind of spirituality. When you are locked into an environment, and you don't have an objective vision. So I always saw, this is the best, this is the master of the masters, and I am the chosen disciple because, I have the best master, and so on. So it took me those 10 years, and then the possibility of seeing it objectively by being in a different environment, completely different. Around Osho, we are all rebels, and we had to somehow try to imitate him, and constantly confronting the status quo and the culture, and so there was a lot of that. And with Papaji, it was very simple life, and he was pointing us to the right direction, I would say. That was the most important thing. With Osho, he was just giving us meditation as the remedy to everyone's solution. Everyone's problem of life would be solved with meditation.
Are you not so a big fan of meditation anymore? I read somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I was suggesting that people here should begin with a lot of meditation classes and yoga and so on. Okay, it's the way the Western people get into spirituality is by yoga, asanas, and then meditation, and then gradually we get into something we could really call a spiritual inquiry or quest.
Doesn't that bother you that some people see spirituality as a lifestyle? Just put the nice Buddhas in the garden and the pictures of the gurus, and that's enough.
Well, I mean, one has to begin from somewhere, you know. We begin somewhere. I began like that. I mean, most people begin because they are suffering. Everybody in the spiritual world, they just want what any samsari wants, which is to remove the suffering element. You know, it's so common in the human experience. So we want to remove suffering, I want to remove suffering, and I try to do that by the means of some meditation techniques and then therapy and so on. And then very soon I realized that anything that I was doing was solving the problem, but only temporarily. You know, it took me many years to understand that. And I was totally for meditation. I did meditation for at least 20 years.
And also the big ones, the Vipassana meditations for being quiet for a week.
Of course, yeah. I mean, Osho, he present meditation to the West, and very soon he realized that these people are so stressed out that it's impossible to have them sitting and meditating. And they are too extroverted, they are too, you know, rajasic, as we would say, technically. So they are very active people. So he created what he used to call active meditation. So shake your body, so a lot of, you know, bioenergetic exercise and movements. And so we used to do all of that so that in the end, towards the end of the session, we could experience some peace of mind. So that gave me the taste. So it took me many years. I spent actually 5 years doing every morning what he used to call dynamic meditation, and then the late afternoon, and then in the late afternoon, the Kundalini, which was shaking the body as well, and so on. So after somehow I have released some of that stress, I became fit for Vipassana, which was my favorite meditation. So I used to do Vipassana.
Was it necessary, do you think, on this path?
Well, to me it was necessary, all of that. I have no doubt about that. I always say that we always get what we deserve. We always get the guru we deserve, the girlfriend and boyfriend we deserve. We never get anything that's not custom designed to what we are.
So the boss, the family,
anything,
the mother-in-law.
Everything's all karma. It's all governed by karma.
By karma?
Yeah, it's all governed by karma, by the laws of karma. So this is a very intelligent, designed, meritorious, you know, system. It's very ordered, designed. So we get what we deserve.
No mistakes.
No mistakes. I mean, Shwara, I mean, whatsoever. Let's not talk about God, because God is a touchy subject in the West.
For some, yeah.
So the system, let's call it the system, this intelligent system makes no mistake. So we get what we deserve. Otherwise, I mean, later on, after Papaji, my main source of inspiration was Nisargadatta Maharaj. So why I did not go direct to Nisargadatta Maharaj? Because I needed to go through the big party that Osho was offering there, a lot of dance and therapy, and you know. So
no regrets, no mistakes.
No regrets, no mistakes. Everything always happened, you know, in this imperfection. It's interesting you mentioned that, because in Lucknow, a lot of people, a lot of us came from Pune, and in fact, Papaji was absolutely, almost totally unknown at the time when we began landing there. And some people come from Pune, after some time was getting really upset and resentful towards Osho. Rajneesh, people were saying, why? Osho did not tell us the truth. Yeah. And what was the truth? The truth was Papaji was saying, okay, so you are meditate, and now turn the mind upon itself and look for what is there behind the mind. What is the source of the mind? What is this consciousness? What is this awareness behind the mind that feeds? He was pointing to this conscious subject principle behind the mind, quote unquote, which was something big for us. because with Osho, all he was saying is be the watcher on the hill, just be the observer. And what we are going to observe? Yeah, you begin by observing the tension in the body and so on, and then you start having a mind a little bit more subtle, and then you start observing some mental, emotional movements and so on. And then you begin experiencing and observing silence. And that's where the fun begins. You experience silence. Now your object of meditation is silence. Ooh, beautiful, it's peaceful, it's blissful. But you come to the point of having that experience of love, peace, and bliss. It requires this process that we call that mental preparation, mental purification.
Yeah.
So everything was absolutely necessary. It's all part of our mental refinement.
I once heard a teacher tell me that everything we experience in the world, not just the things with the gurus, and is effective for your awakening.
Of course. Yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
Nothing excluded.
Yeah, I mean, everything is an opportunity. It is. We need to look into that statement. So we come to life, and we get the custom design. Let's say, like this expression, custom designed body, parents, culture, time. You know. So we get this new package. You know, body, mind, in time, space. And there is a potential for us to carry on our karma. So we need to go there and we are coming with whatsoever we have from previous lives, and we have a fresh new body, and again an opportunity to experience, learn and grow. But not all the time we grow, we learn and grow. So the journey of the soul many times involves evolution, but a lot of the time it could mean a decline. You understand?
Oh, so it's no line up.
It's not like that. The soul can go, can decline as well. So we have the opportunity to make the best use possible of our human intelligence, our free will, connect the dots between cause and effect, thought and action and the results of the action. We go about doing that, and then we keep trying to correct ourselves and trying to learn, to grow in wisdom. So there is the expression that we get older and wiser.
Yeah.
And somehow we do get a little bit wiser, because with aging we get something that young people do not get, which is experience.
Yes.
We have experience. But all that experience can serve the purpose to grow into wisdom, or can just be perpetuation, reinforcement of stupidity, that can get even more stupid in some cases. People can really have a terrible life and decline, and then it gets another body, and this other body is not going to be a very nice, fine, refined body and a beautiful family. No, every time we come into a new life, we are bringing with us our vasanas.
Yeah, and that's what we got to burn. Your great friend James Swartz told me, burn your vasanas. Could we call this life then? Is it like a test?
No, it's a school.
A school.
It's a school, an opportunity to learn and grow. Nobody knows why this universe come into place. The Vedas, they don't disclose such. No scriptural knowledge has the answer of why. There are some commentaries that speculate that maybe consciousness of God was feeling lonely, alone, one without a second. Yeah. Let's project plurality, duality, so that there is some fun here, and then I forget my true nature, and then I become the jiva. So it sounds like a nice story.
Yeah. You don't believe it?
Well, I mean, there's no question of belief. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. There is no way we can know. We can hardly understand Maya. So how can we understand, the motives behind Maya, So we don't know why this. But it seems, by observing this field of interaction between the jivas, the experiencing entities, and the field of action, it seems that the whole purpose of this birth after birth is again to carry on working your karma, which gives us the possibility to refine the mind and grow into wisdom. And the scriptures say that there is such a thing as moksha, freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from this endless cycle of life, death, reincarnation, and all the time, most of the time, being driven, governed by one's vasana, ignorance-based vasanas that compels the jiva to try to find happiness, satisfaction, and peace and love by the means of acquisition of objects, or rejection of some other object.
You tried that also.
We all try.
Yeah.
Everybody tries. And then when we become spiritual, we want to solve this problem by the means of getting very subtle objects of experience, such as peace, love.
But it's not about an experience. Or is it about the experiences? Let's say, like in Advaita Vedanta, they tell me, what's it called again? That state that you were in when you meditated for a long time, you get into, the word, something with an S. Let me think.
What do you mean?
Samadhi.
Samadhi.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not about samadhi.
No, it's not about samadhi. You're right.
Because you can. One said, he's a man of samadhi. Don't trust him. He's only looking for that bliss feeling. Could that?
I never heard that expression. That's interesting.
Yeah. Could that become the same thing as I'm looking for the new car, for the new blonde girlfriend, and then I'm addicted to getting samadhis?
Totally. Yeah. Totally. So the spiritual world is a supermarket with all kinds of products that we can consume, and all these spiritual experience, they are just objects that we call them spiritual objects, subtle objects. Okay. But they are still object. What defines an object is something other than the subject conscious principle. And the nature of the object is that it's not always present, and it changes from one moment to another. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
So this is the nature of any object. So samadhi is a state of mind. It's a mental condition. Okay, very saturated, very pleasant, rejuvenating, refreshing. But anything that has a beginning, a middle, and end. Papaji used to say something very nice. He used to say, attach yourself, identify yourself to anything that changes, and it's going to bite you in the end.
Yeah, okay? It does.
How does it bite you? It lives you.
It lives you.
It lives you. You understand?
It uses you, or it has...
No, it lives. It goes.
It leaves you.
It leaves you.
Yeah.
It goes.
Yeah, so it's
it
not...
It says bye-bye. Okay.
Yeah.
So you cannot hold an object. Every object, even the stars, they are time-bound.
Even this body.
Especially this body. Very soon we get aware that, that, oh my God, I'm getting older, wrinkles, and losing my hair, and dad is dying, my grandmother died, and, this is an object, and we get so attached and identified, and that's the main source of our suffering.
Attachment to objects.
And the most problematic one is attachment to the body, because very soon we become aware that the body will go.
Yeah.
It comes, it grows, and it goes, and that is terrifying to this conscious being identified as the instrument.
Yeah, it scares you.
Huh?
It gives you fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because you have the impression that, oh my God, when the body goes, my existence goes. I'm going to run out of existence, in conscious existence.
Isn't that true then, that if I leave if this body is gone, I'm gone?
There is a power here. Electricity is running through this building here. So if a bulb pops here, so we are not going to see light shining
from that
bulb. But the power is still all around.
Yeah.
Okay, there are many other bulbs. So we are just we are in this respect, we are the electrical power. We are the current, and the instruments by which electricity expresses itself are all different. We have a fan, we have light, we have a TV, a radio, a camera, So we have all these instruments, and we have one source, one power.
And what is it then in us that thinks that this instrument is a special instrument that should live very long and should get a lot of attention and needs everything and needs the best food, the best place to sleep? We call it ego in some spiritual scenes. How do you call it?
Well, what causes this misidentification with the body-mind is what we call Maya, or more specifically avidya, which is a human experience of identification as the body-mind construct. So the moment that we identify with the body, we feel like, oh, I'm time-bound, and I'm going to do anything possible to try to avoid or to deny my mortality. So mortality is something so unnatural to consciousness, and we are consciousness. Mortality is so unnatural that we reject it, and we don't understand why we reject it. We reject because deep inside we know that it's not natural, mortality.
It's not true?
It's not natural, no.
Not natural.
No. Mortality is a fact for the body, for all forms. Okay? Everything that's made out of the elements, they modify and they go. But the whole question of spirituality is to inquire and determine and understand and know what is that I refer to all day long. You don't know, who am I? So this, what we really are, is not the body. And I guess that any and all forms of spirituality, from entry level up to the Upanishads, they point directly or indirectly to the fact that, okay, you are not really the body. Now, take care of the body and so on, but you are something more than the body. So the body is subject to time, birth and death. But this conscious subject principle, that which enlivens the mind, which makes the mind alive mind, this conscious is what we are, and that is not subject to time.
Doesn't come, doesn't go.
Does not have a beginning, does not have an end.
Yeah.
The mind has an end. What ends the mind is self-knowledge, moksha. Moksha is freedom from the mind, freedom from the ego, the sense of individuality,
In Advaita circles, non-duality, neo-Advaita, whatever you want to call it, they tell me that Maya is like the dream maker, that wants me to believe that this is real and this is ending and this is very important. How do you describe Maya?
Yeah, Maya is this power that once in operation, it's like we call it in our language, we call Maya the reflecting medium, the macrocosmic reflecting medium. You have interviewed James, most probably you have heard this concept that the jiva, the human being, is a microcosmic medium, a reflecting medium. Our subtle body, it produces a reflection of consciousness. In other words, consciousness shines in the mind, in the subtle body, and produces sentience. So we are the jivas. We shine. The consciousness shines in the subtle body to produce the jiva.
Sounds great.
The same way consciousness shines in Maya, okay, to produce the universe. And it does so by the means of three energies, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So these three energies produce the universe in its material expression, in its energetic, and the jivas come from the reflection on Rajas, and the reflection of consciousness on the aspect of Maya, which is the sattvic aspect of Maya, produce the intelligent cause of the universe. So this is a little subtle. But Maya is this huge macrocosmic reflecting medium by which consciousness bounce and produce the universe from time to time.
Okay, so it's not against us.
Against us, no.
In a sense of that it wants to fool us.
No, I mean, there's nothing. No, absolutely. So this is all a mirage. It's a play. It's a projection, a superimposition.
A fata morgana.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like you call it a reflection, an image.
Yeah, it's image. Like we have several analogies. It's just a projection on the screen, or it's just a mirage somewhere on certain physical conditions. We have this mirage, so we can look at it from different angles. But the fact is that it's not really real, but it produced something which is these living creatures. And some of these living creatures, us, human jivas, we end up with this consciousness, intelligent mind that has a huge price tag or downside, which is like, oh, I know, I experience, I know, and I know that I know, and I choose, and I want what I want, I don't want, and immediately I develop a sense of identity as the body, and that causes a lot of suffering. Two things cause suffering: is the fact that I want what I want, and I develop the fantasy that I can control my environment and only get what I want. This is a mistaken conclusion that produces a lot of suffering. So, and then the other is the fact that I need a vehicle, a means, to act in the world, and I use this instrument, this vehicle of experience called the body-mind, and I identify with it. And soon I realize that it's time-bound. So this causes suffering, and so we go through life like that, and the purpose seems to be develop the wisdom, and more wisdom, and which translates as more and more mental purification, mental refinement, until one day in one life, or somehow we are going to be present with the ultimate teachings of the Upanishads, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga from Vedanta, and then we will finally understand. We have the complete teachings from A to Z, looking at this universal beginningless ignorance, which is the constant, which pervades the entire manifestation of the universe. We're going to look at that from this angle now, from the angle of the ultimate teachings, which are revelations coming from Sattva, from Ishvara. They are all teachings coming from Ishvara. It's not originated by any individual. So when we have that kind of credit, karmic credit, or meritorious karma, and then Vedanta, or the ultimate teachers of Vedanta teachings, are going to come, not fragments or little bits and pieces, but just the entire thing. And then you develop a value, you do your work, and then it gets clear. So that's what I am. Therefore now, there is no need for anxiety or fear or
And then you are enlightened.
No, you are not. Enlightenment is not a very good.
No, you don't like that term?
You can say, and then you are wise, and then you have removed the source that produce what we call human psychological suffering.
Yeah.
Okay, which is the ignorance of my true nature as limitless conscious awareness, or limitless light of consciousness. Okay.
Is there a phase after that then that you could call enlightenment, or how do you?
No, in Vedanta we make a distinction between self-knowledge, self-recognition, self-realization, and moksha. Moksha is it's not only you know what you are, and this is a doubt-free knowledge. The same way we know that I know that I'm not a dog. I knew it already long ago. Okay? So it comes a point that we learn directly, first-hand experience, by the means of knowledge, self-knowledge, knowledge of my true self. I know that, now I got it, I'm consciousness. Okay, so when you know that, we say, so you got it, you are self-realized, you got self-knowledge, you got your self-recognition, so you recognize now who you really are. Yeah. Okay, you are the gold. Underline all names and forms of these golden ornaments. You are the gold. Okay, this is your fundamental nature. So you got it. I am consciousness. And then there is another stage in this process of evolution, which is make this knowledge so firm, that it does not need to be remembered, because it's always present. Therefore, every time that Maya comes into place and challenges us with adversities and difficulties and crises and so on, and then instinctively the body-mind construct may react from those reflex of ignorance, universal ignorance. I'm protecting this, and I want what I want security. Okay? So anytime that those adversities or crises or challenges happen, so the yani, the jiva mukta, the jiva with this, or the wise, it responds to life in a certain way. I like to say it in an elegant way, elegant meaning to say there is a emotional balance or strength, a mental emotional strength that prevents or insulates the yani from ignorance-based reactions or emotional violent reactions, okay? Or reactions, that normally used to be reactions of my past. So this is the fructification of self-knowledge, to the extent that this knowledge is more and more firm and always good, always at your disposal, even when things get, and then there is a slight irritation coming to place, immediately the knowledge is there to say, okay, so this is just another play, this is just another object, there's nothing to be concerned, because I'm that which is never affected by anything.
I once heard the comparison, you're in the middle, in the eye of the storm. In the eye of the storm, it's peaceful.
That is a nice analogy.
Yeah. And the rest goes like this, and you are centered.
And it's this is a sort of experience, a dramatic kind of example, but it's more or less like that, because there is a lot of confusion. People think that if you are enlightened, or if you are realized, so you're not going to experience difficulties anymore, problems anymore. Mm-hmm. No, the problems are going to continue. The body is going to continue aging. The body is going to, every year that goes by, I find a new source of pain in the body.
Yeah, you get ill or
need
more
more
sleep.
Often you start going to the hospital or to the doctor, depending on your genetics, how strong or less strong you are. So the challenges are going to continue, and so the ability we have, the maturity, the mental emotional strength, which is, it's a byproduct of self-knowledge, is what's going to insulate, the mind of the wise against all these downsides of being embodied, incarnate in a body.
Yeah. Are there any risks to this? I once heard a story about Ramana Maharshi when he first, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but when he first got to this, at the age of 15, 16, he just lay on the floor and insects started eating him, and he was completely not identified with the body anymore. He didn't care about the body anymore. You maybe know this story.
Yeah, I know this story. I was all over the story of Ramana. I stayed with Papaji for 3 years. Yeah. I got into everything there. So he was a boy, and at the age of 17, I guess, or even earlier, he had a spiritual kind of epiphany that he thought he was dying. Out of the blue, he was dying, and then he confronted his death, and he inquired, and he tried to find out what was going to die there. He started discriminating. Intuitively, he discriminated. The body will die, but I'm not going to die. The mind. He went through the process. Why? He never had a teacher. Of course, he brought all that knowledge with him, from previous life. So he already came with all that knowledge, and then it popped in his mind. And then he had this incredible impulse of asana to go into samadhi, to seclusion and samadhi. He did not know how to go about living family and school and relatives and so on. One day he just wrote a note and said, "Don't look for me, so my life begins here." That life you know, I died for this life, and the family, the mother, they became like, they took many years, or 10 or 15 years, until the mother discovered where he was, and he was already considered a sage. So he had this incredible vasana tendency to go in seclusion. It's a yogic kind of tendency, you know. He went into deep Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He was trying to hide from the crowds, looking for more and more isolated small cave. In one of those caves, he went in such a long and deep Nirvikalpa Samadhi that the insects start eating his body, you know. So what is the danger about that? So there's not really any danger, you know.
No.
He was just living that vasana was living through this body-mind construct, and was producing such a purification of mind that later on he became one of the most shining human beings of our recent time.
Yeah.
I never sat around next to him, but it's said that by everything I read, that just to sit in his presence, your mind was settled, resolved, and people again and again was having incredible spiritual experience, and including Nirvikalpa Samadhis around him, you know. Later on, he understood that Nirvikalpa Samadhi was not the answer. He was not encourage people to go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He would say, don't. He said, this is a self-induced mental condition. It's kind of deep sleep, so remain alert.
Yeah.
Don't fall in sleep, you know, don't go into Samadhi. I know that because Papaji used to tell us.
And Nisargadatta, I can remember that he told the same thing. Don't fall into the trap of samadhi.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
Yeah, the mind has to be sharp, present, alert, you know, purified, so that you can, in that state of deep meditation, you can extract the knowledge. I am pure, limitless, simple, ordinary consciousness, you know, because the mind is going to be shining with consciousness, and then it's easy for the jiva to get it, to understand that I am this conscious principle shining in my own mind here, you know. And that's what we call direct knowledge, direct and immediate self-knowledge.
Without you don't need a medium, immediate.
Immediate, yeah, it's immediate because there is no subject-object. You are not knowing something in duality that requires the subject of knowledge and the object of knowledge. Is the very subject, you know, conscious principle, recognizing through one of its means or instrument or vehicle, you know, the subtle body. Oh, okay, I am consciousness shining in this subtle body. So in one way we can say that it's the jiva recognize its true nature, and another way we can say it's consciousness recognize itself in spite of maya and the whole delusion of individual self, you know.
Is it like the tongue tasting the tongue? Or the eye seeing the eye?
Yeah,
it seems impossible.
The eye of the eyes. Well, it's the most simple thing. Papaji used to say it's the most simple thing. Once you get it, you're going to be, Ramji often say, so once you get it, you don't go about making a lot of fuss about that, because it's so simple that you may feel a little bit ashamed that, oh my God, how could I not get it before? Okay?
Yeah.
So every time that we see something, we think, we see because of the eyes. But we see because of the eyes behind the eyes. I am the eyes behind the eyes. Okay? So the eyes alone cannot see. When we sleep, the eyes cannot see. Okay? So when we die, the eyes, the physical eyes are there. I cannot see. Okay? The mind remains alive, but then the mind without the physical eyes, you know, activated by the pranas, the mind cannot see the objective world. It may see its subjective reality, the reality of the dream world, for example. Yeah? So we are the eyes of the eyes, the ear of the ears. Everything we do in life is proving, is advertising. Sagadatta used to use this expression. Everything is an advertisement of the eternal, because everything that's going on here is pointing to the fact by inference we see that, everything is a proof of this conscious principle in which phenomenal object can be illumined and captured and known,
Yeah.
So consciousness is that in which presence things are known. This is consciousness, is that in which present things are illumined and known, experienced and known. So anything that we do because there is consciousness in which presence we are knowing, we are talking, we are eating, we are listening. Okay? So we don't need much of a proof. The only problem we have is that we tend to believe that consciousness is an object of knowledge. But consciousness cannot be objectified because consciousness is the subject conscious principle, that which cannot be reduced into an object.
Yeah.
Because you either are the subject or the object. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So in this life, in this projection, you are either the subject or the object. And consciousness can never be objectified, can never be reduced to an object of knowledge and experience. And that's what makes it a little bit difficult for us, because we tend to project consciousness, the knower as the known, the perceiver as the perceived. But we don't need any proof to the fact that I'm perceiving all the time, that I'm knowing all the time. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But then I want to know the know. I want the eyes to see itself. It's not possible unless, of course, we have a mirror.
Uh-huh.
So Vedanta, the Upanishad, is a mirror constructed by words, revealed by the Lord. Okay? Pure knowledge that's going to reflect back to the Jiva the fact that the Jiva-Atma is in reality Paramatma. And it does that only by removing all these ignorant notions, these misleading, wrong notions in reference to what we are. In other words, it's going to remove the identification with the body-mind, and it's going to transfer this identification with in consciousness as consciousness. That's all there is to enlightenment.
Yeah, it sounds very simple, but so we are the people just making it look hard to not accept it, or to still keep on searching, or
it's extroversion, mental extroversion. This vasana for feeling, touching, tasting, hearing. We want something that is more tangible. We want something that is more, that can be smelled and so on. We have this tendency.
Yeah.
That's why the whole thing about enlightenment, the process of enlightenment, requires certain qualifications, mental qualifications. We are the only body of knowledge, spiritual knowledge, that presents up front the mental qualifications, and people do not like it. Okay, so we need to prepare the mind. We need to refine the mind so that the mind develops certain qualities that allow it to follow the logic as presented by the Upanishads, and then contemplate, reflect, understand, and retain this knowledge. Okay, it requires a certain qualities of mind.
And what kind of qualities? I can imagine peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
Intelligence, maybe.
No, intelligence is not much the case. There are so many geniuses that are extroverted. They use the genius mind to be inventors, to uncover more laws, universal laws, and so on. So there are a lot of genius. You don't need to be a genius. You need to have a spiritual vasana. You need to have a mind which is not too extroverted, with a certain capacity, one-pointedness, capacity to stay focused and to follow. You need to have a certain maturity that somehow brings about this introspection, because as long as we are extroverted, we're going to continue trying to solve our human problem that is described in the Gita as samsara. I'm going to try to make the world work for me, like Ramji likes to say. So with maturity, we understand that there is no objective experience that is going to resolve this problem. Okay. So we need this kind of these levels of understanding. You know? We need to develop humility. The ego, when the ego is still too infantile, it wants to do it by itself. It rejects teachers, teachings, and scriptures, and so on. No, I'm going to figure it out. We need to develop this wisdom of humility. We need to be humble. We need to have certain trust.
Do you need to be devoted, like you were?
You need to be devoted. Devotion is a big qualification. You need to be devoted to your goal. You know,
but not to the guru.
Well, the thing is, what is a guru? You understand the meaning of the word
brings
guru?
me from the darkness to the light.
Yeah. The guru is that, ru, it goes for something that removes, and gu is the darkness, which is a symbol of ignorance. So guru is that which removes ignorance or darkness.
Yeah.
So what is that removes ignorance?
Consciousness itself, I can
Well,
imagine.
we could say that, but more to the point of this analysis, the only thing that removes ignorance is knowledge.
Knowledge.
Okay, so what is the guru? Is the knowledge revealed to the jivas by the scriptures? No, the knowledge comes from Ishvara. Okay, so we have knowledge, the scriptural knowledge that was designed to us. Okay, revealed to us. We have this scriptural knowledge as the only way to cancel, remove, or neutralize our universal ignorance imposed by Maya, Avidya. You know, it's a universe, it's beginningless. The whole universe is born out of ignorance. You understand? Without ignorance, there's no universe. We need to provide Maya, Shwara, Vasanas, ignorance-based vasanas. When those ignorance-based vasanas becomes knowledge-based vasanas, they dissolve in the ocean of consciousness, and there is no way they can project this universe, hold this universe anymore. Okay? So guru is that which removes or cancels the ignorance. So what is the guru? It's the scriptures. But then when we come to Vedanta, we say that in Vedanta, the teaching and the teacher comes in one package. Somehow. Why? Because the teachings, they are very subtle, and a lot of the time they appear to be contradictory because they relate to different orders or sub-orders of reality, and the whole language is dualistic, but it still points to the nature of non-duality. So there is a lot of things that needs to be properly explained by someone who is firmly established in awareness as awareness, and with certain familiarity of unfolding the scriptures. So the real guru are the scriptures. Okay, Ishvara, knowledge.
Yeah.
And with the help of a guru, honest, competent, honest teacher. Okay, so what is an honest teaching system? Okay, I'm a link in the tradition, that none of this is my knowledge. I'm just here to unfold to the best of my ability, and I hope you can benefit. Okay, nobody's going to be able to remove your ignorance, only you can remove your own ignorance, but I can try to help you to understand the meaning of these declarations coming from the Upanishads. Okay? So this is an honest guru. Okay? So you have a honest, sincere, and guru with certain skills in unfolding the teachings, and then you have the complete teachings being systematically present to you, and studying and contemplating, and then you have the possibility of relating to a teacher, because one of the stages in this process of self-realization is called manana, which is reflection, contemplation, which involves resolving one's doubts. Because in the beginning it's going to make sense that you are consciousness alone, but there will be some suspiciousness, some doubts, and those doubts, they need to be resolved, otherwise they keep undermining your certainty of knowledge.
Yeah.
Understand? So what's the guru? I ask you now. Okay? What is the guru? It's not a guy with a long beard with 5,000 people listening to him. Okay? That is a different phenomenon.
That's the wisdom that removes my ignorance.
Yeah, it's the wisdom that removes ignorance. It's the knowledge that removes ignorance.
And it's universal. It's not for this guru and that guru and that guru and that other guru doesn't have it. It's universal. It's just the way they explain it, or that makes a difference.
The knowledge coming from a certain individual?
Yeah?
Well, I mean, this is another subject we are touching here, because there are a lot of people, present themselves as spiritual teachers, and they all have something to contribute,
To offer.
okay? And all kinds of spiritual expressions or spiritual teachings or religious structures, everything is based on the Vedic knowledge, okay? So everything is coming from this huge knowledge called the Vedic knowledge, which includes Vedanta, the end of the Vedas, the conclusion of the Vedas.
Yeah.
So we have people offering bits and pieces of knowledge, from the very, very entry level kind of to the even people offering bits and pieces of fragments of the Upanishad knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you come to Vedanta, you find a Vedanta teacher valid. You're going to have someone present the knowledge from A to Z.
Yeah. The whole package.
The whole package. Okay, not really from A to Z, because from A to Z involves the Vedic knowledge of doing things for the sake of preparing the mind.
Yeah.
All the ritualistic and many other aspects of yoga, connecting, polishing, contacting. And so all of that serves the purpose to prepare the mind. When we come to the Vedanta, so we say, okay, so we assume that you have some mental preparation in place, readiness. And if you don't, we're going to teach you Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, or the Bhagavad Gita, is based on knowledge. So I like to refer to it as Ishvara knowledge as opposed to self-knowledge. So Ishvara knowledge, you're going to understand Maya, Ishvara, Jiva, and the universe, the environment, Jagat, and how it all relates to one another, and you're going to understand how to go about behaving here so that you can naturally and gradually purify your mind, okay? Without having to become a yogi necessarily, okay? So we have Karma Yoga for the extroverted mind to help to prepare. We have Upasana Yoga, but fundamentally we have the Vedanta, the end of the Vedas, which is going to explain from A to Z, prove from A to Z, addressing ignorance from all possible angles until the mind is satisfied with the statement that affirms that the individual jiva, Tattvamasi, is the ultimate self, okay? There is only one self, and the jiva appears to be individual, small, bound by time, but is the limitless one without a second self. So you find people in the spiritual world present fragments of the Vedic teachings, fragments of the Vedanta teaching.
Neo-Advaita, non-duality.
The direct past people, like you mentioned one of them before we began. So all these people, they are going to be present some bits and pieces, and it's not that none of that serving. Just to mention one example. When I was with Papaji was coming much with the idea, that notion that call off the search. Later on, some of his disciples took from there and kept saying, call off the search, call off the search. The search is the problem. You heard that, huh? You have interviewed so many people.
It makes you a searcher and not a finder.
Yeah, so call off the search, call off the search. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. Now I went to that guru says, oh, you are not the doer. So trying to get None of this works, okay? All of that is true. But does this work? Yes and no. 99% of the time, it's not going to help the person, okay? Because you can only tell the person, call off the search, after the person has done all effort impossible to gain that which is already accomplished, which was already accomplished to begin with, okay? So you can only tell people, give up, don't do anything, okay? You are not the doer, call off the search after, when someone is really, sincerely, honestly ready to hear that and say, okay, now I just have to relax. I am that. You understand?
Yeah.
So, but 99.999% of the people, they like to hear these final statements, but they are not qualified to understand and own that truth, okay? Yeah. And then they go into what we could call the delusion. I am enlightened, I am free, and there's a lot of delusion out there.
Believing that you're not a person. Yeah. Believing that you are enlightened. Yeah.
And then it's okay, I'm not enlightened, I heard from this person, I heard from that person, but I keep going back to these circles, spiritual circles, again and again to hear. Oh, but tell me again. Yes. There's nobody here. Yeah. You know? Yeah. There is this consciousness. You are okay. So and then next month you come back again. Can you tell me?
Tell me again. Yeah. So it's not about believing that you are consciousness. No. It's not about acting like you are consciousness. It's not about presenting yourself as consciousness. It's the wrong way around. Yeah. Some people tell me, fake it until you make it. Yeah. You know what they mean by that?
Well, this is a very interesting statement, because at the beginning, when you go through the teachings of Vedanta, Vedanta is not going to ask you, okay, we're gonna ask you again and again who you are until you give me the right answer. Vedanta is going to present it to begin with, to say, okay, so you have some qualifications, we assume, and you know, if you don't know, we're telling you now you are free, limitless, actionless, simple, ordinary consciousness, and you are free, and you're not bound by time. So the knowledge is presented. This is one thing. Just like Krishna presented to Arjuna at the beginning. And then later on, Krishna had to back off, step back and say, okay, you did not get that, so let's go into action and the results of actions. Let's go into karma here, okay? So let me explain you certain aspects of karma, dharma, and why you should fight this war to reestablish dharma and so on. So a lot of people, they have this... what was your question again? Because I went into the Gita. I have such a passion for the Gita.
Yeah, it's a great epos. No, fake it till you make it.
Fake until you make it.
Just say to yourself your consciousness.
So when we come to Vedanta, we get that, we were told you are consciousness. And in the beginning, after you keep doing your inquiry, you keep doing your discrimination, you keep doing your karma yoga, you still have doubts about that. You still have doubts.
You need to hear it again.
You are not clear. You have to inquire, not only here, but you have to inquire following the logic as presented by the text, following, working it in your mind. So you are doing your work, and in the beginning there is a tendency to say, no, it cannot be the truth, I don't feel like I am consciousness. I feel like I am the mind, I'm the body.
The mind rejects it.
The mind rejects. So at that level, it helps to say like, okay, trust it. Trust that the scriptures are saying the truth, okay? And if necessary, fake it for yourself. Yeah. Fake it until you make it, not going around trying to tell people, hey, I am enlightened, I am the consciousness. No. Faking is like accept that you're consciousness, even if you are not entirely certain about that. You understand?
Yeah. You have to do a satsang in about 10-15 minutes, I guess, so let's round up. I just have one more question. The thing that people love to chat about and talk about and ask about, also me, is the free will. Did I come here to talk to you out of free will, or was it supposed to happen? Yeah. Or both?
Yeah.
How do you explain it?
So it's very simple. The moment that you somehow, by karmic reasons, got to hear or find me somewhere, and then the thought came into our mind, maybe this would be a good prospect to interview. Huh?
Yeah.
So in that moment you had a choice. Shall I write him, call him, and make it appointment or not? Okay, there was a moment that you're like, shall I not?
Mm-hmm.
So the moment that you say, no, let's make this appointment, I'm going to reach out and try to make this appointment, okay? So you definitely exercise your free will, your choice, your power to decide, okay? We do that on a moment-to-moment basis. So you did exercise your free will and you called this meeting, okay? So now the meeting is happening and so on. So whatsoever comes after that is just the fructification of whatsoever you have decided before. So what it means? It means that every time in life we are called to respond to some stimulus coming from the field. And our response is the exercise of our choice, of our will, our intelligence to answer, to respond to certain situations, circumstances. We again and again having to respond, and we better exercise our free will intelligently, okay, and timely, okay. But once we have respond, and then that action is already put into the field, it's going to interact, affect everything. Everything affects everything in the Dharma field, okay. And in due time, it's going to be suspended somehow as an aspect of my karma, sanchita karma, and then when it fructifies as my life situation, it is what we call, this is my destiny, my prarabdha karma. Now, so my karma, when it's about to fructify, can I reject it? My life situation, my life circumstance, can I say, no, this was not for me, I send it back to
the universe?
No, I don't want it. No, you cannot send it back, okay? No. When it comes and it fructifies as my life situation, we call it's my fate, it's my destiny, it's my prarabdha karma. And we have no control, we cannot send it back, okay? We have no saying. It's a choiceless karma, my choiceless situation. I did not choose it. I acted, this was my goal, and now, due to an infinite number of other factors, it comes a situation that I cannot send back, I cannot change, it is what it is. I made something happen and my house caught fire. Can I change it? No. It's a choiceless karma, it happened, there's nothing I can do about that. So this is fate, destiny. So destiny is the results of my karmas, that somehow combine with so many other factors to bring about my life circumstance on a moment-to-moment, day-to-day basis, okay? So that we have no free will. It's very simple. We have certain power over our actions, our thoughts and actions, to the degree that we become wiser, and we begin to conform our mind and actions with the wisdom coming from the scriptures. So we have a certain power to respond intelligently and so on. But then, as far as the result, we just have to take it as it comes. And the wiser I am, the more I take things as they are, as prasad, with a spirit of gratitude, knowing that everything is beautifully designed, in a perfect order.
So we plant the seed, but we're not.
Yeah.
We don't know what the fruit will
We don't
become.
know. We can influence the result. We can influence our destiny.
Give it water.
Yes. Yeah. We can come up with a nice, good action response to what's the field is asking me. I do it, but I don't have control over the results, because the equation of life, the karmic equation of the field, is extremely complex. It's an equation that is far more complex than the equation of relativity of Einstein. It's too difficult, complex. There are infinite numbers of factors And our action is only one among so many factors. There are factors that we know that they exist and we know we have no control, and there is infinite numbers of factors that we don't even know that they exist. You understand?
Yeah.
So we leave that to the field, and we take it as prasad, and we take it as fate, as destiny, and we have no saying about that. But when I act, I have a certain power. Okay, and we better exercise our free will wisely.
Thanks. It was a great talk. Have a nice day in Germany.
Yes, my pleasure. I'm leaving in 2 days, so.
And your website, can you say for the people? I will put it beneath the talk.
Well, did you go to my website?
Yes.
I'm trying to make an effort to go there and start upload a few things. The thing is, I tried to retire in Brazil. I lived for 14 years in the USA recently, and then I tried to go and retire in Brazil. And then somehow this Vedanta Sangha began growing when I was there. And now, and then my website I turned into a Portuguese website mostly. Okay, so
that's where people can find you in Portugal.
In Portugal and mostly in Brazil, we have a very, very extensive Vedanta Sangha, and I go. I have been going twice a year there for seminars and so on, and I do webinars. And I never felt really this impulse to do a website in English, because we have Shiny World. Shiny World is a complete library. There is everything there, including 100 or so of my written satsangs.
Yeah, it's a website by James Swartz, which you are affiliated to or dedicated to, let's say.
Well, James Swartz is my guru, my dear guru, and years back he invited me to begin write satsangs, and then life, spontaneously some friends start asking me to share my understanding about Vedanta, and that so I'm associated to James and Shine World, and I direct people to Shine World more than any other thing. Why to create another website, since we have the best in terms of Vedanta in the Western language,
Is there a book by you?
No book. I haven't had any impulse to write anything either. Although there are some friends in Brazil preparing a book of my written satsangs. Yeah.
Okay, we'll watch you. Thanks again. And how do you say in Brazil? Till next time.
Okay. Yeah, Ishwara Willing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.